Troy, I'm gonna go float this river system, get flown in and dropped off, and I have it all planned out, had it all planned out, and the transporter services booked everything that's booked, stuff's being flown to Alaska in advance, and all of a sudden he finds out that a portion of the river is now closed to hunting. And this guy was like, oh my gosh, dude, where can I go? Can you help me? And I was like, well, let's talk this over. And because he was pretty bummed out, and his partner as well. And it's a big deal. But before I get into this and really break it down to you, I want to share something with you. That if you watch until the end of this video, I got a special announcement to make that's pretty darn cool, and I'm gonna give you a hint. It's a new book that I've wrote about the strategy of moose hunting and moose calling, and it's something that you can download into your phone and take with you out in the field, and along with checklists. What do you do in the morning, noon, evening? It's just something that you want to take with you in the field, because the last place you want to be sitting and not knowing what to do is now that you're out in the field, in camp, after spending all that money. So watch until the end and I'll go over that and break it down with you. But for now, let's get back to the story. So I was talking to him and I said, so how many miles, how long is the float? And he said about 50 miles. And I said, well, how much of that is closed off? And I think he was saying it was about 20 miles was closed off. So that left 30 miles of hunting. I've never needed 30 miles to be successful hunting in Alaska, whether by checking out a river system and hunting a river system, or with jet boat hunting that I've done so much of, or even floating a river system. It's not about how much floating you can do that creates success. It's about stopping in key locations that hold moose and hunting those locations. If you think about this, you're looking at a 10-day hunt for the most part, no more than probably 14, depending if you're on state or federal land and what you can and can't do by law. But most of them are going to be about 10 days. And that's really all you need is 10 days, boots on the ground, floating, actual hunting. So you're only going to have effectively, the 10 days. And so you want to pick key locations along the float that you're going to hunt. And theoretically, you should really you should hunt each location about 3 days. So that's 3 locations along a 30 to 50 mile river float that you want to actually take the time and put a lot of time and effort into those 3 locations. It's not about having 50 miles of river to float, because you conceivably can't hunt all 50 miles or even all 30 miles. Heck, most locations, you're not even going to be able to hunt 10 miles. You're going to pick these key spots along this river or any river to hunt. That's how it works, because there's going to be just these locations where that hold big densities of moose. And when you're going after trophy moose, that boils it down to even less locations, because trophy moose aren't everywhere. Trophy moose are where you find them, and you got to know where to look. And that's what I've been doing all my life, and why I've killed so many giant bulls in my lifetime. It's dozens and dozens and dozens, over 60 inches. So that's what it is. You got to know how, and it takes some time to learn. It took me some time to learn, trial and error, and I've spent a lot of money. I've probably spent more than most people at any given time, because I've bought the planes, I bought the jet boats, I spent the fuel year after year after year after year. But then I turned around and got a ton of money back doing it, and I teach that too. But back to the story, I was telling him, so it's about focusing on those key locations. For him, he had hunted the river before and been successful. But what he told me next was right. It was spot on. That he didn't know, but I told him, I said, well, I'll just cut to the chase. he had seen a 70-inch bull on one of the floats that you could actually hunt, that he had seen the year prior, or his prior hunt, a 70-inch bull. And it was about 5 to 7 miles away from the river, and he had spotting scope pictures of it, and I'm showing you that picture now. And I told him, I go, well, you can call a lead bull in from the harem. There's a way to do it. It's not easy. It takes a little bit of time. Usually for me, it takes about 4 days. It's not an immediate thing, especially since there's this would be a pack job, so you're not gonna go hike in 7 miles and kill this bull and pack him out. It's just not possible to do that. 1 mile isn't even hardly possible, but it can be done. But you got to call them in. And these lead bulls with a harem, if there's one lead bull, there's always going to be at least 3 to 4 smaller bulls, and usually one that's comparable to the lead bull. He just got his butt kicked already. So you can pull all of those guys away from the lead bull in the harem, waiting for the bull to sire the other cows, and then he's going to come in eventually if you're doing your cow calls correctly. Now, if you're able to get to him with a slew or another way that's going to help your pack job, then there's ways that you could definitely go in there and yank him out from that harem, and that's what I go over in my courses. So I told him, I said, man, if it were me, I don't think who cares if they shut down that portion of the river. You can't hunt the whole river effectively, and if you are looking at, well, I'm gonna float all 50 miles because that's gonna bring me success, that's not gonna bring you success. In fact, that's gonna hinder your ability to be successful. Because if you know anything about moose calling, once you get to doing your cow calls and spending a few days calling in a given area, and you know how to reach out there about 5 miles with your calls, and I go over that, those bulls are hearing you and they're coming in, and they'll eventually come in. Sometimes it takes a while, and if you're moving and hopping and moving and moving and moving down the river, they're not going to catch up to you, and you're going to it's all for nothing, and because you think you got to cover miles. It's not about covering the miles. It's about knowing key locations, not just it looks moosey. That's the biggest misconception there's ever been said. It looks moosey. Well, what's that mean? The footprints, right? Well, show me antler size, show me big bulls. Now you're in a good area, because big bulls are where you find them, flat out. All right, that's the story. He said he's going to go in there and hunt that this fall, and I'm pretty excited for him. He's already got it figured out pretty much. He already knows. He's already has eyes on a bull. He knows where to go, and he's already killed, I think, 1 or 2 in this location. So he's going to probably hit those spots, and he's good to go. Meanwhile, there's strategies to learn about is he in the right spot, and obviously he is. So let's get back to my new digital book that's out. It just came out. And what it is it's 30 years of my time hunting, like everything I've mentioned already, and I've put it into a moose hunting and calling strategy download digital book. And within that digital book, I've got checklists within the book, morning checklist, what to do in the morning, and you can read everything in that checklist. This is exactly what I do every year, and how I do it. What do I do at noon if I didn't see a bull that morning? Or what if I did see a bull that morning? What do you do? And what calls do you make? How long of a cow call do you make? How long of bull grunt do you make? How much time do you wait in between? That's what's in the digital book. So you can look at up in the comment section, which is the bio description, or over in comments, whichever side that's on, it's going to be in the comments. And then you can always just DM me or instant message me, and I'll send you a link, and you can look it over, see if it's something that's going to resonate with you. But it's exactly what I've done for over 30 years, And if you decide that you want to get into the upgrade portion, I also offer videos going over the whole process as well, so you get to see actual footage of me doing what I'm preaching. And along with the book that tells you how to do everything that I put into place every year, what's brought me so much success and enjoyment with me and my friends hunting Alaska. Oh my gosh, it's been amazing. I've been blessed, and I want to bless all of you with this. It's the number one question I always get from everybody is, what is the exact layout? What time do I start calling? What's the first call? And then what's the sequence? What's the cadence? How does this work? And then what do I do at noon? I call it the noon rush. And then what do I do in the evening? Do I just call there again? Where do I go, upriver, down? I mean, what do I do? What's that cadence look like? What's that sequence? And how many minutes do I wait per call? I've heard there's a guy that calls all day long, which I won't do. To me, it works for him. It works for the guy. But for me, I'm gonna camp, I'm gonna do some fishing, I'm gonna enjoy myself, I'm gonna have a campfire. I'm not gonna make calls all day and long throughout 10 days. I'm not gonna do it. I don't need to. I'm more successful than him, twice as many animals, and with not doing it. But if it works for you, do it. Do it. But if it doesn't work and you're using the wrong tones, with a cow call especially, you can blow it and you won't even know that you're messing things up with your call. The moose won't show up. So I hope this helps you. Check out the new book, and I think it's going to make life a lot easier for a bunch of you people, or anybody who utilizes it, implements it. It's what I do. It's what I've done. So God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.